We will not tolerate politicians or anyone else putting down Muslims and blaming Muslims for a few people. We know what it's like to be demeaned. We know what it's like to have a few people who act against the highest visions of our tradition to then be identified as the value of the entire tradition. And one of the reasons that we in Tikkun magazine, a magazine of liberal and progressive Jews, but also an interfaith magazine, have called upon the United States to stand up to the part of the Israeli government that is oppressing Palestinians is that we as Jews understand that our commitment is to recognize that God has created everyone in God's image and that everyone is equally precious. And that means the Palestinian people as well as all other people on the planet.
Welcome once again to the Radical Imagination. I'm your host, Jim Vrettos. I'm a sociologist who's taught at John Jay College and Yeshiva University here in New York City. We're thrilled to welcome Rabbi Michael Lerner to the first segment of our show today. Michael is a longtime political activist, editor of Tikkun magazine, a widely influential Jewish interfaith magazine, and the rabbi of Bet Tikkun Synagogue in Berkeley. He's been a mentor, friend, and comrade for over 35 years in my own journey as a spiritual progressive Jew from a mixed cultural heritage. Not only has he been an enormous inspiration for this show, my wife, Beatty, and I were blessed and honored to have him officiate at our wedding. It doesn't get any better than that. We've invited Michael on to give our audience a chance to hear his plans at Bet Tikkun for the high holidays coming up in just a few short weeks. Among the teachers and speakers at Rosh Hashanah services will be Bill McKibben of 350.org, Jessica Montel of Israel's Hamoked, human rights organization, Sami Awad, West Bank Palestinian nonviolence activist, Jeffrey Robinson on reparations for slavery and racism, and Ben Cohen, founder of Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream, which is now refusing to sell their ice cream on the West Bank. Bet Tikkun is a synagogue without walls. Everyone is welcome to these virtual services, irregardless of whether you have a religious affiliation or not. And of course, that goes obviously to our worldwide Radical Imagination audience. So welcome, Michael. Michael, thank you. You're calling it from the beautiful Berkeley Hills, right?
Yes.
And hopefully, sorry for this, but no burning bushes, right? In the Berkeley Hills at this point.
Well, the Bush who was president got us into the mess in
there you go.
Afghanistan, but the other bushes that are here are not burning.
Great. What a great segue. And of course, you will be, here's another segue. You'll be probably touching on the burning bush in your services, right?
Moving right along.
Moving right along. Yes, exactly. Michael, tell our audience about the Tikkun perspective that you've been working with your entire life at the magazine, at the synagogue, in all that you do as a political and spiritual progressive activist. And tell us how that will be manifested in this incredibly interesting, unusual services that you're planning.
Well, let me say, first of all, thank you, Jim. I have great respect for you and great prayers for the ongoing success of this program that you've managed to create and keep going for the last many years.
Thank you.
So, yes, the fundamental principle of Tikkun magazine, TIKKUN.org, TIKKUN.org. Tikkun is a word meaning healing, repairing, and transforming. And Tikkun, it comes from the notion of
that our job as human beings is to heal, repair, and transform the world. Beit Tikkun is similarly, it's my synagogue, but it's a synagogue that is open to people of every possible background, and you don't have to believe in God in order to get a lot out of it, particularly our high holiday services. You can find out some of the information about that at Beit Tikkun, spelled BEYTTIKKUN.org. Or you could also go to our website at Tikkun, tikkun.org, TIKKUN.org, and click the picture of Kat Zavis, who is blowing the shofar. A shofar is the ram's horn. Now, why in the world would I be speaking to people in New York about something that's happening in California? Well, because it's on Zoom, and its basic theme this year is America needs to repent. America needs repentance and transformation. It needs, in Hebrew, tshuva and tikkun olam. We need a fundamental transformation of our society. It's not enough to try to make small changes or to think that what you're going to do inside is going to deal with saving the environment or the other fundamental, or ending racism, etc. Yes, it's important that we do take those little steps inside ourselves, and it's a good thing that we have a president who's at least nominally on that side, rather than the last one who wanted to basically burn down the world.
Yeah.
But the truth is, we are faced with a global crisis of environment, and we are faced with a bunch of other major issues. The issues that we will be dealing with on our high holidays are the environmental crisis, reparations for slavery, overcoming selfishness, which is intrinsic to the competitive marketplace, and the attempts to dismantle democracy in the U.S. and then, of course, Israel's treatment of Palestinians, all of which we are extremely critical. So these are the kinds of things that we deal with. But of course, high holidays isn't just about changing the larger world. It's also about changing ourselves. So we have a focus also on inner transformation, not just on external transformation. But we do. So I want to invite everybody here.
Yeah. What are the dates, Michael? What are the dates?
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can find
September. We're Beatty and I are gonna register. We'll be there. Okay.
Yes, that's wonderful. Well, the dates are September 6th in the night. So we started it September 6th, which happens to be also Labor Day. So we're also wanting to tip our hat to the labor, the people who really made this country real, is the working people of this country, and not the rich who have extracted their wealth from the rest of us who are working. This is September 6th at starting East Coast time. Let's see, it starts at 5:30 our time, so it's 8:30 your time, 8:30 p.m. We started that early precisely to make it possible for people in New York and the East Coast and the Midwest as well to be part of this, to be able to do it. The next day is the 7th. The 7th is the first full day of Rosh Hashanah, and the 8th is the second day, and then we skip forward to Yom Kippur, the evening of which is called Kol Nidre, and that's on September 15th, and Yom Kippur itself, the full day, on the 16th. And those are all the dates that people on the East Coast could come and really get a lot out of. So, but what we're focusing on is the relationship between inner transformation and outer transformation, because I've been part of movements where we had great, larger visions, but we treated each other terribly. So we weren't immense. We weren't caring enough. And on the other hand, I've been part of inner work, and of course, I was for many years a psychotherapist working on the inner level. But you can't really make the changes on the inner level to overcome some of the distortions that we've inherited because they're so deeply rooted into the common sense of capitalist society. How is that possible? Why did that happen? Because ever since class societies emerged some 10,000 years ago, and along with it, patriarchy, you have two major worldviews, and most of us have heard both of them. The first worldview tells us that everybody is out for themselves, that we're thrown into this world by ourselves, and that when we come to consciousness, or as we grow up, we become aware that everybody seems to be maximizing their own good without regard to the consequences for others. And basically what we've come to believe and have been taught over and over again by the powerful in our society, and this is globally, not just the United States, is everybody's out for themselves, and you're a fool if you try to maximize any kind of different values than just looking out for yourself and maximizing your own personal well-being. And on a national level, that's what produces all the kinds of nationalisms that are so destructive to the world. The one of the United States, which we're seeing playing out right now, as the United States withdraws from the really ill-advised and crazy war that ensued in Afghanistan, and that then led to our invasion into and destruction of Iraq. But this is nothing new in American history, because we've been making these invasions at least for the last 120 years. We've been invading other countries and trying to shape them to produce, to at least let us extract whatever we needed in the way of raw materials and control their economy. And but this is not just a United States phenomenon. The United States is one of many capitalist countries that have been engaged in it. We happen to be the most powerful one now. We weren't always the most powerful, but that is the extension of the lookout for number one, maximize your own interest. I call it the worldview of selfishness. Then there's another conflicting worldview, and that different conflicting worldview comes from the experience that all of us have had as a little kid. When we were first born, for the first few years of our lives, we would not have survived without our mother or some mothering other, somebody who would pick us up, who would hold us, give us affection, etc. And there's been many psychological studies that have shown that when kids aren't picked up like that, and aren't given that warmth, they die. It's called fail to flourish in psychological terms. They didn't. They died. You need to have that. And your mother or the mothering other, whoever that was, it could have been a father, it could have been a strange, some other person connected to you, somebody who adopted you, whatever. That person was giving you care and support those first few years without a good belief, a rational belief that their energy and of caring for you was going to produce a good return on their investment of time and energy. No, this was done out of love. And from that comes the second worldview that says the way to be successful in this world, the way to be able to create a world in which you will be successful is if you show caring for others. If you are not just out for yourself. Pardon me.
And Michael, I have the book. Michael,
yeah,
I want to point out that you go into this in great detail, this narrative in Revolutionary Love, a political manifesto to heal and transform the world. Listen, I have to say, Michael, listen, I've been to your services in person. I wish very soon that we can do that again. We will be there virtually, but there is no question in my mind, and my audience really needs to take this in. This is such a unique opportunity and service. You are not going to find this. All the East Coast Jews, New York Jews who are fighting for tickets to Temple Emmanuel or whatever, Midtown Synagogue, nothing bad against them. They're not going to get a whisk of what you are talking about here in those services. So if we want to emphasize that this is a tremendous opportunity for Jews and non-Jews and everyone who is interested in a saner, transformative world to take advantage of this unbelievable service that you're going to be offering.
Thank you. So, I mean, I don't want to put down anybody on the East Coast.
Well, we didn't. Or did I? Well, you didn't. I did, maybe.
Okay. But what I do want to say is that it is a balance that we try to strike between the work, internal work, and the work of transforming the world. And that's why we have these incredible speakers. I mean, just, you know, Bill McKibben is the founder of 350.org. We've got several Palestinians or people working with human rights in Israel and the West Bank.
Sami Awad
for one, yeah. We've got, but our unifying theme. We have a wonderful speaker who has been. Who was the assistant director of the National ACLU, Jeff Robinson, director, who is now creating a project that focuses on reparations for slavery and he's African-American guy with an incredible understanding of the dynamics of what reparations would look like in this country and why it's so badly needed. And
Michael, what might you think his emphasis or contribution will be to this service too for Israelis and American Jews watching?
Well, I think that Israelis and American Jews need to watch this, but I think that the second that they hear that there's somebody who's critical of Israel, as I am critical of Israeli policies towards Palestinians, that doesn't mean I want Israel destroyed. I want Israel to be, you know, just like have the right to be as screwed up as every other country in the world. You know, it's not worse than the others, but it's not so much better than the others either. So,
and you do consider yourself a Zionist, is that correct, Michael?
No, I've never said I'm a Zionist.
Okay.
I'm a religious Jew.
Religious Jew.
I care about the Jewish people, but I am against the selfishness that exists in every form of nationalism, including Jewish nationalism. I'm against that. I want a world based on love, kindness, and generosity. And that's why we, one of the things that we put forward is the notion of a new bottom line. We need a new bottom line for our society. So right now, every institution, corporation, economic systems, all of the systems are judged efficient, rational, and productive to the extent that they maximize money and power. The new bottom line that we've been putting forward at Tikkun, T-I-K-K-U-N, Tikkun magazine, and Tikkun, Beit Tikkun, is this, that every institution, every corporation, our economic system, our political system, our legal system, our educational system, our every aspect of our life should be judged efficient, rational, and productive to the extent that it maximizes not money and power, the old bottom line, but love, caring, kindness, and generosity, ethical and environmental sensitivity and responsibility, seeing other human beings as embodiments of the sacred, not looking at other human beings simply from the standpoint of what can we get from them, how will they fill our needs, but rather seeing them as fundamentally valuable, whether or not they deliver what we need. And looking at the universe, the earth itself and the larger universe, not looking at it from the standpoint of, is there anything here I can turn into a commodity and sell, but rather looking at it from the standpoint of awe, wonder, radical amazement at the grandeur and mystery of this creation. It's amazing to be alive here. Unfortunately, we're living at a time when it may not, this beautiful earth may no longer be able to sustain life on it. And that's one of
unless we transform ourselves to some of the things you're talking about.
Exactly.
That's the point.
Exactly. That's why. So we call this period from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur the 10 days of atonement, 10 days of transformation, of inner transformation, but also making our choices about what we're going to do this next year. Now, of course, people, it's different than the the New Year's that happens on January 1st, because there people can make commitments but rarely feel any full follow through.
Right.
There are some people who do. I don't want to say it's not useless, but it's not. But we have this whole
Mainly about losing weight, right? Stuff like that, and
yeah.
you know,
This is we have a technology by anybody who registers for this for the high holidays with Beit Tikkun will receive a few days before Rosh Hashanah a book, a small guidebook to inner transformation and outer transformation, and that will be useful, because what we're asking people to do is not just come to a service, but to actually make determinations about how are you going to live in this situation? What are you going to do in regard to the environment? What are you going to do in regard to the way you treat other people? What are you going to do in regard to living in a capitalist marketplace, which every day reinforces selfishness and greed and looking out for number one? So, as I say, these two worldviews, the worldview of maximizing your own self-interest versus the worldview of love, caring, and kindness and generosity, are in everybody's head. Everybody has heard both of these. And the question is, where at any given time, how do we move the energy, the social energy, from fear to love, from the sense that everybody's just out for themselves, to recognizing that everybody has a part of them that would love to live in a different kind of a world, only none of them believe it's possible. Right. And so they say, well, we have to be realistic. And our answer is, don't be realistic, because every major change that's ever happened in our society, from the ending of slavery to the ending of apartheid in South Africa, to the empowerment of women to vote, to just every fundamental change has happened only because some people refuse to be realistic, because they were told the same thing that we tell ourselves today, and we tell each other, oh, it's nice ideas, but it can't happen. And we're saying, of course it can happen. And this is what it means to believe in God. In our view,
to have a radical imagination about it, right?
Right,
And that's why we need so many people to go. This is not a 10-day period of a time. This is a lifetime commitment. This is not some sort of career choice here. This is a full-time commitment to this sort of idealism and work.
Yes, and we can change this world, but we have to start saying to other people, don't be realistic. Don't believe what the people in power and many other good people, sometimes our friends tell us, oh no, you should narrow your focus to something that's that we can win in the next year or two. No, the planet is at stake.
Yeah,
our lives are at stake. You've got to stop being realistic and recognize that this is the time in which a new bottom line, a world of love, caring, kindness, and generosity is the survival necessity of the planet as well as of us. Of course, the planet will exist, but the life support of the planet will not persist if we don't make major transformations very, very quickly.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have about 1 or 2 more minutes to go. Again, I want to put up on the screen here the Revolutionary Love. This is your newest book.
Yes, but people should also go, if they want to go to this to register for our service.
Yes,
it is go to BEYTTIKKUN.org, and you'll find there the things to click to
register,
to go to our service, or go to tikkun.org, TIKKUN.org, and there you'll see a picture of a woman blowing the shofar, the ram's horn.
That's your wife, Kat, right?
Kat, yes.
That's Kat. Okay.
Click on that, and you'll see, and you'll be brought to another such picture also. Kat will again be here, but this time there'll be the whole information. And so if you scroll down, you'll find out all the information about the high holiday ceremony. But I want to wish you, Jim, and all of the people who are listening, a blessed and healthy and love-filled and kindness-filled and social justice-filled year ahead for us.
Thank you, Michael, so very, very much. And the same back to you from Beatty and all of us here on the East Coast. And thank you so very, very much for appearing on the Radical Imagination. We will see you at services, and make sure your doggy is okay there now, right? The dog can come back. Okay. We've got to care for the animals as well. And
Yes.
thank you, Michael. You've
And
been
by the way, if you like animals, it's a good idea not to eat them.
There you go. Good way of ending. Thank you. Thank you again, Michael.
Okay.
Happy New Year. We'll see you again very soon at the services. Thank you, Michael.
God bless you.
God bless you. And thank you so very much. And just in a few minutes now, we are going to have another visionary, an artist, Clarence Ruth, who is a native New York City-based artist, fashion designer, and author. He's the creative director and founder of his new brand called Cote d'Armes, a ready-to-wear denim based on the essence of military infused with street chic biker. That's quite a combination. He's been active in New York Fashion Week as a creative director and chief designer for a new brand called Dirty Pineapple, and as a creative director for the Chinese government project at the Shanghai Fashion Week. His artwork has appeared in a number of museums, including the Polk Museum of Art, the African Museum of Art, and the Krauss Gallery of New York. More recently, Clarence designed, wrote, and illustrated a concept book called Colors de la Runway. And in the spring of 2021, he had his first solo exhibition at Castelline Goodman Gallery, well known for exhibitions of unique paintings, sculpture, and drawings by established great artists and emerging new ones like Clarence. As he puts it, he hopes his work will open closed minds, educate the uneducated, and inspire the uninspired. And we thought this was a nice segue that to have Clarence on immediately after Rabbi Michael Lerner, who's also talking about a transformative, more loving world. So we will be with Clarence very, very shortly for our second segment on the radical imagination. Clarence, welcome.
Hello, Jim.
It's been a while. It's really great to see you again.
Thanks for having me on again. I appreciate you.
Well, there's a lot been happening in your life and your work since we last met and had you on the show. So if you can, bring us up to date a little bit on what you've been working on, where your art is now being shown, and we'll put up some images and we'll talk about them in just a little bit.
Definitely. Again, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate you.
It's an honor.
For the space and time. Well, I would like to start to say that I agree with Rabbi Lerner that, we need to change the infrastructure. We need to start approaching life with love, and that's where it's going to start. From there, I would say that this is where the art spawned from. Looking at, our society, what's going on, especially to the minorities, Black and brown people, it really, really urged me to kind of get my thoughts onto canvas. And that's how this whole thing started. So I decided to speak upon these issues of racial injustice and police brutality and all the things that, currently have been going on. Not just that, but speaking on how, as a people, how we deal with life from day to day, insecurities, fears, things of that nature. So what I decided to do is create a character called Oreo that represent us as humans. Oreo, that you would pretty much see in all my paintings, is kind of made up of kind of like a masked face. And that masked face represents how we wear masks, different masks every day in different situations, and how we deal with life, and where the true reality is underneath the mask. And so I wanted to kind of approach these paintings and these pieces of art uniquely to make the conversation start a little easier, right? So the approach of the artwork is very cartoonish, very colorful, easier in approach, where the subject matter is very, very deep and
absolutely. Is that a picture that obviously one of your works right behind you?
Yes, behind me.
Would you like to comment on that?
Yes, this piece behind me actually represents see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. So just see in the background here, you'll see a little eye, you'll see an ear in the corner, and then you'll see a mouth within that. And it kind of speaks towards, again, see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. And that can represent anything in your life. That can be a job, that can be an individual, that can be, your political beliefs, that can be whatever, evil represents for you. You can kind of translate that into this painting here.
And we're living really inauthentic lives.
Yeah.
Of hypocrisy and lack of integrity, and we're very, very unhappy, lonely, and so much of our problems come from doing this. And so what you're trying to do, in a way, it sounds like, is take off the mask.
Yes.
Let's see what we've got under there, and let's deal with it.
Exactly.
Honestly, with great love, and that's why it's wonderful. You really have picked up on a lot. You and Rabbi Lerner, are in similar worlds here, and you're doing this through some wonderful, beautiful, colorful art. And I like the way you put it. It eases us into it.
Yes.
It gets us. It's an opening. It's a friendly. It's a safe space, in a sense, to open our minds and hearts to things.
Yes.
So Oreo. Okay. So Oreo appears in other in all of your works. Is that it, or most of it?
All my work, because I wanted to create a character that kind of represent all these things into one, right? And so each painting kind of will represent something different, and Oreo might be doing certain things and acting a certain way, or making certain faces to kind of represent certain things within a lot of my work also have where I have puzzle pieces that's represented as well. Puzzle pieces represent growth. As you put puzzle pieces together, it grows into the full picture. And so when you see the puzzle pieces in the paintings, that's what that represents, like a sign of growth. And so often with Oreo, you'll see puzzle pieces and things of that nature. Also, you know,
so if I can cut, so the viewer tries to put the pieces of the puzzle together, in a sense, in their mind to see what it might be like as a whole.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay.
And also just a sign of growth, right? Like I think that as a country, as a world, we need to grow. As Rabbi Lerner was saying, that like we need to change our mindset. We need to change our approach to literally, you know, heal and have a better future, and be able to live together and have a world that we can actually live on. And so for me, you know, those puzzle pieces represent signs of growth. So we need to grow. We need to bring the puzzle pieces together. We need to grow to move forward.
And this is a universal narrative, but also speaks specifically you as a young Black man.
Exactly.
So, and I wonder, I know we have a couple of your other pieces that we're going to be putting on the screen here so we can discuss.
Yes.
And I'm sure they'll be popping up here at any moment. So we'll talk about them as well. So how did the creative process really start with you? I mean, how did this suddenly click into? Was this something that I haven't seen you a couple of years or so?
Yeah, it's been about 2 years.
So you've been working on this prior to?
Yes, it's very interesting because I've been working on this, I want to say, for probably about 3 years now. So before the pandemic, before things kind of boiled over, I was working on this, and I just say that it was God that, you know, whispered to me and was like, "Hey, do this." I've been thinking about this, being, you know, a young Black male. Obviously, I have experienced things in my life, you know, to the subject matter that I've been dealing with within my mind, within my body, spiritually, and so at some point, I wanted to really kind of get this out of my system, and I wanted to do it in a way that I can kind of share with the world, and maybe help someone else that's kind of dealing with these issues inside. So for me, I decided to put it on canvas, and it started with one painting. From 1 went to 5, 5 went to 15, 15 went to 20. I started getting response on the paintings of from galleries, and a couple of museums of being interested in seeing them in person. And that's kind of how it spawned. But like for me, I thought it was very ironic because then the pandemic happened. Then we started having protests and marches that, you know, George Floyd, that happened. And it just aligned with what I was.
Where you were at.
Campus. Yeah. And I just thought it was, you know, I say it's a God thing, but it just all kind of seamlessly happened in perfect time. And so it just, I thought it was just amazing, the timing of it all.
And again, I want to ask you, Oreo is the cartoon name, does not refer just to sell out Blacks, right? You're talking about, in a sense, we all are acting or have the capacity to act, and many of us are acting as Oreos. And here's, tell us about this one. This is
this painting here is called Oreo Profile. And
Oreo Profile, right? Okay,
it's exactly what you see, and so this painting represent profiling, profiling young Black and brown males or Black and brown people, and which is a major issue, as we know right now here in America. You know, being profiled, these people not really knowing who you are, but they're looking at you and profiling you based on how you look and not who you are. And so that's what this painting represents here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The description is also saying the artwork is a literal representation of Oreo's growing lies. His eye under the mask is purposely shown to represent his true identity, hiding underneath deception.
Yes.
So this is how so many, particularly young Black males, but many of us, but particularly young Black males, are living their lives and what it's doing to them.
Yes.
You're trying to alert all of us to what is happening, and it's happening to all of us, but in particular through our criminal justice system, through young Black males, not exclusively, of course.
Yes, I think, you know, some people might know and understand, and some people don't. But like as a Black male, you know, growing up in America, you can't 100% be yourself, or you know, people will look at you in a certain way. So like, oftentimes we're forced to wear masks, right? To get certain opportunities, to be considered for certain things, you know, to be looked at as, you know, a good father, or, you know, a hard worker, or whatever the case may be.
Certain expectations.
Yes, we're forced to wear masks, and it's have been this thing where it's just like, oh, you have to look this way, you have to act this way in order to be a good person, or or to be, you know, a good worker or a good father. And I think, you know, these things come in different shapes and forms, you know. So who are we to say, oh, this is the only way that, you know, a hard worker, a good father, or a good person looks like? And so again, we're forced to kind of wear these different masks to even get opportunity to make a living, to get an opportunity to be the good father, or to be seen as a good father or a good mother. And so Oreo represents the core of that.
James Baldwin, as you probably know, through his work, did a lot of that sort of analysis, double conscious and so on. And was it Jean Genet, Black Mass, Franz Fanon? I think it was Genet and his play Black Masks.
Yes.
So there's a rich tradition of what you're talking about here that you're following in and interpreting and adding your own unique style to all of this. It's really interesting. So, okay, we have now, what is this? Miles, young.
Caution, young Black male.
Oh, caution, young Black male. Okay, tell us about this one.
And as you can see on here, this is one of the more bolder pieces that I did in my last exhibition, which was called What Lies Beneath. And it reads, caution, young Black male in America. And so what you see in this painting and what's being told, the story is a young Black male at the age of 5, 6, even 7. And at that age, dealing with how society is looking at him already. And one side, as you see, is the little boy. You can see that it's the background of that is very Black. It got caution tape there, right? And the reality of kind of like, hey, he can walk on the street and be slain at any moment just because he's African American, right? But then on the other side, in his mind, he still have that youthful mindset, right? And he still has this mindset that, oh, you know what? I'm a kid, I can do whatever, right? And even like the lack of education of how the world works, right? So you see the brighter side, and his imagination is brighter, which is what Oreo represents, right? But then you see the puzzle pieces, and you see empty puzzle pieces, and you see puzzle pieces, and they're kind of coming together, and he's trying to piece all these puzzles together to kind of figure out, one, hey, why do people look at me this way? And do I have a future in a world like this?
Fascinating. And it is, as you point out too, centered on the theme of stars and stripes.
Yes.
Right. It's sort of the flag is back there.
Yes.
And as you point out, in this America, Oreo fully submits to evil consumed by hate. A small square of goodness represented at the forefront of his mind symbolizes a chance for salvation.
Yes.
So again, we're back to Michael Lerner here.
Yes.
Rosh Hashanah, the prophetic tradition, and the need for atonement and salvation.
Yes.
And if you will, mental health. I mean, and the toxicity of what we're doing to each other, to ourselves, the environment, to our animals, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes. Yes.
And we don't have much time to deal with this.
No. And you know what? Like, when it starts young like this,
Yeah.
changes your future. It changes your path, right? Because like you spoke to mental health, it becomes a mental health issue. Now, once you get to a teenager or an adult age, you're dealing with these things that you dealt with when you were younger, just like anyone else. And so
Yeah.
this is being put on young and Black boys and girls at a young age, and they have to deal with this as they get older and as they get older. Some of them don't even stray away from it. They're so scarred from it that it's life scarring for them.
Yeah.
And so they go through life thinking one way because of what happened to them or what they experienced when they were younger.
They're destroyed or almost destroyed from so early an age in their life. It's just, it's heartbreaking. And yet there is still the possibility of salvation.
Well, Michael Lerner spoke about one thing, and he spoke about how that motherly love, that motherly embrace. And
Right.
if that to me was very important, because if you can give the young male or the young girl that at an early age, that makes for a better future, you know? And so changing the mindset of kind of like approaching these young Black and brown kids in this way, how about we switch the mindset and we approach them with love and we have a better future overall.
That's exactly true. That's exactly what Michael has been talking about, a caring, loving universe. So we have our last one here. This is Miles' Young Black Mind.
Yes.
The painting provokes exhaustion in attempting to be more than one person. Trying to be someone else other than the true self eliminates the possibility of growth, as represented in the empty puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this one here.
Who is Miles now? Your son, right?
This is actually Terrence's son.
Terrence is there. Okay, right.
Yeah. Miles.
Your brother.
Yes. And so pretty much what this painting right here represents is it represents the red background represents blood that have been shed from police brutality. The Black hands are obviously Oreo's hands that represents the Black boy, the Black male. The ghost-like hands represents the evil act and, police brutality and killing, young Black males and females, right? Despite what they do, I don't think it's anyone's worth being killed, right? And so in this painting, the young Black male have to deal with this at the age of 6. Again, going back and connecting to the other painting, dealing with this and battling with this in his mind as you see the hands are battling with one another. What does this mean for him? How does he go through life? What does his future look like? Does he have a future? And at that age, I think it's a shame that you even have to deal and think on this level. I remember when I was younger, and I have 6 siblings and all of us, and I just remember being educated on going out for walks in the street or going out in school and being warned that people might approach you a certain way. And at that age, having to think about that and being like, hey, what did I do to be approached that way or to be looked at that way? It's something, man. It's something else. And then for a mother to think at any moment that my kids go out for school or go out to the corner store, I can receive a call saying that they're no longer living. That's a tremendous stress on both the kid and the parent. And so this painting truly represents that in the core of what goes through this young Black mind and having to deal with the issues of today.
And the struggles depicted also in the hands, as you say, in the arms. And it's the struggle that the whole country, the culture is having as well, and the world. So you're talking at the individual, internal level, and the external material world out there. It's really fascinating how you combine this. You're New York based, right? You were born in New York?
Born in New York. You know, we were military kids, so we travel around quite a bit. But I was born in New York. You know, spent some time in Texas, spent some time in New Jersey, spent some time in Florida. And then for my college years, I came back and pretty much stayed in New York, which is my home. Yeah.
Okay. And I know I do want you to give a shout out and a hello to your brother, Terrence. And I wish him well. And he's running for mayor, right? In Raleigh, North Carolina. So
Yes. Terrence Ruth.
For mayor. Okay.
Yeah, Truth for Raleigh, running for mayor. If you don't know, please go on his Instagram, Terrence Ruth, or Truth for Raleigh. His website, truthforraleigh.com, and check him out, man. Jim knows him.
I do.
He's been on the ground. He's rolled his sleeves up. He's done all the work. Spent all the time from education with young kids to, you know, dealing with issues, injustice issues with the NAACP, the Poorest People Campaign. He's an amazing father, amazing husband. What
a loving brother you are. You are really something else. And you know, we'll have him on the show. Just have him contact me. Would love to have him.
Yeah. I would love to have him on the show. I'm gonna show you something.
Show me something. And then I want you, we only have a couple more minutes. I want to make sure that you tell people how they can see more of your work.
Right now, I'm actually part of an exhibition called with Kraus Gallery. And you can go to Kraus Gallery today all the way till I believe September 20th.
Okay.
And I'm part of a group exhibition there.
That's Krause, Kraus.
Yes, Kraus Gallery, Lower East Side of New York. You can also go to krausgallery.com and see the exhibitions online if you're not local here. I also have 2 exhibitions coming up. I have one coming up in November, which is a group exhibition in Hong Kong, which I'm excited about.
Wow.
And I have a solo exhibition coming in March of next year, also in Hong Kong. So, you know, I'm excited about that. A lot of amazing and exciting things coming up.
It is. Okay. There you are.
Yep.
TR.
Make sure to check them out. TR.
All right, man. And listen, do you think I've lost some weight here? I might be able to fit into one of your ready to wear denim.
Yeah.
I don't know how I look on that. Essence of military infused with street chic biker. I have to check that out. I don't know. Can I get it in the Dirty Pineapple?
Yeah. Well, Coat to Arms NYC.com. That's COTTED. RMEES NYC.com. Check it out. We have amazing, unique denim.
Great.
That we do, and it's everything is limited edition. All made in New York. So, you know, if you see it, you got to get it, or you won't have the opportunity to get it.
I will check it. And your family's doing well too?
Family is doing great, man. God bless.
Wonderful. God bless you. Thank you so much, Clarence. It's been a great honor. Thank you so much. I love your work.
Thank you. So much.
We'll see you again very soon, and all the best. Thank you so much.
Let's do it again soon.
Absolutely. Take care, man.
Take it easy.
Thank you. And thank you all for watching us today on The Radical Imagination. I'm your host, Jim Vrettos. I'll see you again next week on The Radical Imagination.